Today, I'm at one of my bug out locations and I'm gonna show you some survival food that I have stored here. And I guarantee 99% of people don't even know this survival food exists. And that's because, to be honest, until recently, I didn't know it existed either. And I thought I knew every survival food company out there. So it is spread out on this bed and I take my survival food very seriously. But it's good. If you have no idea who I am, my name is Jason Hanson. I'm a former CIA officer, and I've got a wife and 7 kids. And because of the unpredictable world, I have a year's supply of food for every member of my family, which is obviously a heck of a lot of food. And so I've got 5-grain buckets. I've got survival food pouches. I've got canned meat. I've got I just said the 5-gallon buckets full of full of rice and wheat. Can't even speak. But somebody recently said, have you heard of a company called Freeze-Dried Wholesalers? And again, I thought I knew of everybody because I buy survival food. My own company makes survival food. I buy survival food from all over, and I thought I knew of everybody who's making survival food, especially freeze-dried survival food. So what this is not your normal freeze-dried survival food where you're thinking it's like a mountain house meal in a pouch with some rice and beans. This is stuff that you normally don't associate with. And also, more importantly, this is what the rich people do. So I found out from some of my clients, I do consulting with a lot of high net worth clients. This is what the rich people are using. And that's because they don't want to be eating disgusting things. Obviously, none of us do. None of us want to starve to death. And so this is what billionaires and the wealthy are buying when it comes to freeze-dried food, in addition to all the other stuff that I just mentioned. So what I like about this, as I said, is this is not what you typically think of. I'm just gonna pull some random stuff here. This is actually one of my favorites. This is freeze-dried chocolate cupcakes. Now they can't say Hostess because obviously Hostess owns the brand, but these are like Hostess cupcakes, which my kids love. And we'll open up some of these later on and have some of them. There's a bunch of stuff here. There are, pulled, what is this? Freeze-dried pulled chicken, freeze-dried Canadian bacon. You can see it's the bigger pieces. Here's one also I like. This is pretty cool. These are freeze-dried hamburger sliders. So if you're like me and you go in the Walmart aisle and you see the White Castle hamburgers in Walmart, I eat those way too often for lunch. So that's basically what these are right here. These are the freeze-dried sliders, basically White Castle hamburgers. One of my favorite ones is the hamburger patties. I love meat. I love hamburgers. Grill hamburgers and hot dogs all the time for my kids. So actually, that's what we'll cook today. We'll have some of these freeze-dried hamburger patties. And then we've got shredded beef, we've got boneless pork chop, we have smoked pulled pork, which actually sounds really good right now, and then we have some scrambled eggs. So here's what's cool about the way this works for this freeze-dried food. Anything I buy, I want to last long term, meaning my canned meats, my survival food pouches, my number 10 cans that have wheat and rice, my buckets and all that. If it's not gonna last me 10, 20, plus years, I don't want to waste with it. Because somebody was trying to give me some survival food the other day and they're like, yeah, this has a 2 to 3 year expiration date. Well, I don't want some with a 2 to 3 year expiration date because I want stuff where I can put it in a bug out location like where I'm at, where I can put it in my office, where I can put it in my house. And as the great Ron Papil used to say, I want to set it and forget it. I don't have to worry about it. And that is what this is. This stuff, they say, can last up to 30 years. And I'm just gonna pop open this one here. And what they do is, we all know what freeze dryers are. You probably see the freeze dryers, you can buy at home, seen them on TV and all that. But they, I guess, have some massive freeze dryers that can fit larger stuff. And the process is called sublimation. Sublimation is just a fancy, nerdy way of extracting all the moisture. So they can extract something like 99% of the moisture. And after they do that and they seal it, they immediately seal it. That's what allows it to last up to 30 years. And when you feel this, it's like, holy smokes, this is so incredibly light because it's had all the moisture extracted. Now, to eat this stuff, you gotta reconstitute, you gotta add water, and I will read you the directions out of the one we just opened. So here's how you do it. It says, remove and discard the oxygen absorber. Obviously, we don't wanna eat the oxygen absorbers. Cover desired amount of freeze-dried hamburger patties with cold water. So we put this in a pan, we're gonna cover it with some cold water, let stand until rehydrated. Only takes a few minutes, and then drain excess water and cook like you would any other raw meat. That's it. So that's what we're gonna do here in a second. Is at my bug out location, we have a little camping area there also, because I can shove the kids out there and they think it's fun and they can sleep in a tent. They enjoy that stuff. My wife does not enjoy sleeping in a tent. She wants to be in the nice cabin. But anyway, we're gonna go out there on my stove. We're gonna add that cold water. We're gonna let it sit there for a few minutes and rehydrate, and then we're gonna cook it, and we're gonna eat this bad boy. And again, I wish you could almost feel how light this is. It is pretty darn amazing. Another thing that is very popular, my children, and I've got, like I said, 7 kids. I didn't have kids until later in life, until after I left the CIA. So my oldest is 13, and I have a 2-year-old. So I'm gonna be 175 years old before I get all the kids out of the house. But one of their favorite things is taquitos. Again, we get all our food from Walmart because we live in small town USA, and so Walmart is where we do our shopping. Plus, it's expensive to feed, I guess when you add me and my wife, 9 mouths. But they love taquitos. So these freeze-dried taquitos, I'm not gonna give them to them because they have like 5 at a time, 7 times 5 is 35. So yeah, 35 taquitos. But in an emergency, I wanna have a variety of food. That's another thing that I think people forget about way too much, is there is a thing such as food, it's food fatigue. If you do not have a variety, you're gonna have food fatigue. You do not wanna eat rice for every single meal when the blackout occurs, when the grid goes down. You wanna have, as I said, the number 10 cans. You wanna have the canned meat. You wanna have the survival food pouches. You wanna have the 5-gallon buckets of all the beans and rice and wheat and all that kind of stuff. And you wanna have the higher quality meals like this, because think about it this way. This stuff is a little more expensive, but it can last up to 30 years. What do you think hamburger meat, courtesy of inflation and the government spending and printing money like there's no end, what do you think this stuff is gonna cost in 30 years? It is not gonna be cheap. Other stuff here, this actually looks good. I must be hungry today. Freeze-dried cilantro lime rice and fire-roasted corn. I'm absolutely hungry, and this is freeze-dried classic pound cake. I'm gonna have to try that too. I'm trying to think what I want to eat right now. I think we're gonna definitely do a hamburger, and we're definitely gonna do the Hostess cupcake. So let's head outside right now. Let's start cooking some of this food. We are now outside, and let me tell you, this is the life. Beautiful day in nature. What we're gonna use right now is my single burner stove. I do have a fire pit over there, but this is easier. So we're gonna start with the freeze-dried hamburgers. I'm just gonna pop it in here in my pan, as you can see, or maybe you can't see, but it's in my pan here. And we're gonna add that little bit of water because it needs to rehydrate. So I'm just gonna pour right on and soak this bad boy and give it some time to rehydrate while it does that. And while it is rehydrating, let me read the directions here on these Hostess cupcakes that aren't Hostess cupcakes, but look exactly like Hostess cupcake. So it says, dunk the desired amount of cupcakes in hot water. Hot water, it's not hot water, I gotta get hot water then. And then wrap them in a towel, seal them in a plastic bag until they're soft in the fridge, yada, yada, yada. So basically I gotta dunk it in water and then wrap it up and let it also rehydrate. So we'll do that later, we'll have that later on. I'm gonna let that sit here and we will just hang tight while we're waiting for this sucker to reconstitute. While that burger is reconstituting for the few minutes, I decided, you know what, I wanna get going on these Hostess cupcakes that aren't Hostess cupcakes. So we are gonna pop this open and I'll show you what they look like. Because remember, they've had like 99% of the water removed from them. It is incredible how light these things are. So you wouldn't believe it, but I'll pop those there. And so what I'm gonna do here is, man, they look good. Again, I don't know why I'm so hungry today. But anyways, all you gotta do is it says dunk them briefly in some warm water. I don't know what briefly is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I feel like 10 seconds is briefly. Maybe they have a different definition of briefly. And now I gotta get it out. I used too small of a guy. And then wrap it in a paper towel. It's supposed to be damp, but I don't care. I'm gonna do that. That's how unfancy we're gonna be. And you know what? I'm gonna make 2 of these. I don't need any more, especially since I'm gonna be eating a hamburger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Get this out here. And then it says to also let it sit for a few minutes and reconstitute. And I'm gonna put it in our fridge here. It says put in the fridge, but I don't need to put it in the fridge probably. I could just let it sit. So we'll come back, we'll let those rehydrate, do their thing. Okay, put that back, I'm gonna reseal it. One thing, when you buy survival food pouches, always make sure it's a resealable pouch. You don't want something that you open up and can't reseal, and obviously most of you can these days, but it's still a little pet peeve of mine. Also important, when it comes to your survival food, make sure you store in a cool, dry place. I like storage units for bug out locations, meaning for supplies, for caching. If you live in Florida and it's 10 million degrees outside with 10 million% humidity, well, you need a climate-controlled storage unit. So all my stuff is either in climate-controlled storage unit or it's in a cool, dry place. My main supply of survival food that's in my house is in my basement, dark place. I have a lock on the door now. Why do I have a lock on the door? Because I had my survival food storage and I had some of my water storage, which were the drums with a spigot. And one of my young kids went in there, turned the spigot, and almost flooded our basement if I didn't catch in time. So word to the wise, if you have young kids, make sure your storage is locked up. Okay, the hamburger we've been soaking is soaked for long enough. Let's go cook this hamburger and then we'll come back here and we'll eat some of these cupcakes. Okay, this hamburger's soaked long enough. I'm sure it's ready to go. So here's what we're gonna do. Here's the unfancy way I'm doing this. First, we don't need this water anymore. So we get that water, most of the water out of the way. Next, I'm gonna light my stove. So for simplicity's sake, out of my fire starting kit, I grabbed, I gotta find it, got too much junk in this pocket. In my fire starting kit, I grabbed my Coleman lighter because, Coleman lighter, look at my Coleman stove here. My big lighter because I wanna keep things simple, right? I've got matches, I've got ferro rods, I got everything, but I'm always gonna go with this, keep it simple. So let me turn this on here. All right, and we're gonna cook this burger fast. So we're gonna turn that flame up a little bit hotter. There we go. So we are gonna start having that cook. And while we're waiting, please remember, guys, the people who want to control you, and there are people out there, they know how to control people, and you control people with their food. And don't think the US government, maybe overseas, has done things to control people, has done things to control their water supply and their food supply to, for lack of a better word, beat them into submission. So when it comes to your water supply, when it comes to your food supply, you need to control it so they can't control you. And remember, I got a lot of high net worth clients. This is what the rich people are doing. They're obviously building their bunkers. We heard about that. They started going crazy during COVID. And they are stocking up on this food, this literal food I'm eating. I don't know if I'm now allowed to name some of the billionaires who are doing it, but they are doing it. So make sure you have this stuff. I see people these days buying so much crap, so much stupid stuff they don't need. And I live very below my means. Obviously, I've got my 7 kids, so that's where my money goes. But I see people buying these fancy cars, buying these fancy clothes, and I'm like, how much survival food do you have? They're like, well, none. I'm like, come on, get your priorities in order. All right, it looks like this burger is done. Before I overcook it, let me turn off my stove. That smells pretty darn good. Okay, let's go inside. Let's eat this bad boy. Also, let's check on my Hostess cupcakes. All right, let's go ahead and I think I probably overcooked it, but that's all right. If this isn't a meal fit for a king, then I don't know what is. My cooking is done. It's sitting here. I have my hamburger, and I actually started eating before we even started filming because I was hungry. And it actually tastes a lot better. You think it's gonna taste? I bit off too much. They do make hamburger buns. I just didn't feel like reconstituting the hamburger buns, but you can buy hamburger buns if you want to do that. So hamburger tastes a lot better than you think it's gonna be. And then of course, we have our, and I think I soaked them in too much water. It's falling apart on me. I'll pick up this one. We have our cupcakes. So I'm gonna have a bite of one of the cupcakes, and it's a mess, but it's good. It's a good mess. That seriously is surprisingly, you won't believe how good it is. Which one? I'm gonna eat the other one. Of course, I didn't bring any napkins. I left the napkins in the other room. But as I said earlier, if you want to know what my high net worth clients are buying in addition to all the other survival food I just mentioned, if you want to know what their rich are storing in their bunkers, it is this higher end freeze-dried food. I sell survival food for my own company. I was just talking to one of my team members. I don't think I've ever endorsed anybody else's survival food except my own, obviously. But this is good stuff. I do recommend it. And I've linked their website in the description below. Use code JASON for 15% off your order. Definitely buy this stuff and grab some of the stuff because it's good. It lasts up to 30 years and it is not worth your family's safety not to take action now. God bless you, stay safe. And yes, I am gonna continue stuffing my face with some of this stuff right now.